Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Unity Church of Overland Park. Please feel free to clap along and sing along. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. Feeling good down in my soul, God is so good. I'm feeling good down in my soul, God is so good. You know I'm feeling good down in my soul, God is so good. My God is so good to me. In my time of trouble, I'm singing, God is so good. In my time of trouble, I know God is so good. You know, in my time of trouble, I'm saying, God is so good. My God is so good to me. In my time of triumph, I know God is so good. In my time of triumph, I'm saying God is so good. You know that in my time of triumph, I know God is so good. My God is so good to me. When the day is over, I know that God is so good. When the day is over, I'm singing, God is so good. When the day is over, I'm singing, God is so good. My God is so good to me. Oh, every day and every way, God is so good. Oh, every day and every way, God is so good. When I take the time to praise the Spirit, God is so good. My God is so good to me. In every way, God is so good. Every day, in every way, God is so good. When I take the time to praise the Spirit, God is so good. My God is so good to me. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. I got up this morning singing, God is so good. And I got up this morning singing, God is so good. My God is so, my God is so, my God is so good to me.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity Church of Overland Park.
I'm new to this.
Come
That's
on.
all right.
We'll wait.
Well, let's take this opportunity and turn within, and we'll begin our service today like we begin everything here at Unity Church of Overland Park, and that's with prayer. And so as we do turn within, we give thanks for the divine light that we are. We give thanks for that power of God that moves through us. That power of God that reminds us that we too can be the most magnificent self possible. And so today, in this moment, we open ourselves up to the wisdom of God, the wisdom of that divine Spirit moving through us. We allow it to guide us and direct us as we commit to shining our light as the radiant beings of God that we are. And for that, we are grateful. Amen. Well, I want to welcome Corey Mohn to the platform. Yeah. Corey is our very first minister for the day, and so we're excited to have you here, and he's going to tell you a little bit about his history and where he came from. Currently, though, Corey, I'm going to change your name to Curry. That's fine.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. Corey's working as the executive director of the Blue Valley CAPS program, but today, for at least for today, we're going to go ahead and make you the right good Reverend Corey Mohn.
Hey,
So,
I love it.
yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So welcome. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to share with us today. And I also want to invite all of you to join us back here for our Easter series. It's hard to believe, but Easter begins in just about 2 very, very short weeks. And this year, our Easter series is going to be all about the metaphysical exploration of the Easter story. We're going to journey through the cross and look at how we can take that Easter story and find new meaning for it in our lives today and on our spiritual journeys.
Yes, and before I introduce our board chair, yesterday was a very important day in the life of our church. It was Brandon's birthday. Hey. So let's sing him happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brandon. Happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you.
We are just so blessed by you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now I would like to introduce Randy Fickey for our board chair. Randy is not only on the board of directors, but he's one of our prayer chaplains. And he is here today to give us an update.
I just want to say on behalf of the board, it is an extreme honor to be able to serve this community and this church. We are so grateful for the love and the joy that you give back to us each and every Sunday. We appreciate when you walk up to us and give us your thoughts and your ideas and your opinions. I promise you, we take those and we make sure that you're heard in every single board meeting, and we just want to encourage you to keep doing that. We are just so blessed to have you as a community, and we're honored to serve you. A couple of announcements. Linda Kircher, many of you know her. She has been serving on our board, but has decided to step down just to follow some other passions and to just follow her heart desires, and we honor her in letting her do that. In the interim, we have Paul. He's stepping up and just serving as a board chairperson throughout the end of this season here that we have. Both of them are we are so honored to have served with Linda and are now serving with Paul. As I stand up here, I'm reminded of Revelations 3:20, and it says, I stand at the door and knock. And if you hear my voice and open the door, I will eat with you and you will eat with me. I always thought that meant that they were eating together. And I think it does mean that, but I think it means something greater. It means if we open the door or if we hear the voice, we will be served by the divine. We will be served by the Spirit. And in return, we will serve the divine and we will serve the Spirit. So I wanted to let you guys know that our community partnerships with Community Link of Kansas City and Heart to Heart International have ended. So we are looking for new community partners. So if you have something that's stirring your soul, or if you have a group in the community that you think Unity Church of Overland Park should take a look at, and that we should go and we should give our time and our talent and our treasure to, we encourage you to let us know by March 20th. You can do that by going online and recommending a service or a community group that you think we should be serving. Last and not least, we are looking at the fall doing a fundraiser for a 5K run walk. I don't know how many of you guys are inspired to do a 5K run walk, but what we are looking for are individuals who can join that team, who can help us explore, investigate, and execute a 5K run walk. I think it'll be awesome for our community. I think it'll be awesome for getting our word out. And that's the last thing I want to say. We have such a diamond in the rough here. This community should not be a secret. I hope that you guys are all going out and sharing the blessing, sharing the love, sharing the light, and sharing the joy that I get every week, and I know that you guys get every week. And each one of your hugs and each one of your good mornings, I just know that we have just so much more to offer to this community. So I'm putting you guys to task. I want to see these pews full so that we can share our love with those people. I just want to say thank you once again, and it has been an honor to serve you.
Thank you so much, Randy. I think we're seeing a lot of blooming reverends this morning. Anyway, I invite you now to all stand and let's join together and sing "In Beauty May I Walk." I now invite you to prepare as Fred and Pancho lead us into a time of meditation.
You are the light of God. You are the joy. You are the love. You are me. I know you. You are the light of God. You are the joy. You are the love. You are me.
We are that love, joy, life, and light of God. And how often may we hear those words, but inside it's so hard to truly embrace and believe that I am the light, love, joy of God. For we are so often caught up in all those things that we think are wrong or flaws or perceived mistakes. And that's all we can focus on, instead of the way that Spirit so often uses those very things that we would like to hide under the bushel. Uses those very things to become our strengths, our magnificence, our gifts to share with the world. If we but open up and allow the healing work to be and to live into those great places that are ours and only uniquely ours. And so I invite us all now to go into the silence for a while. And let's invite ourselves to begin to look at those places, those things that we may want to hide, or those perceived mistakes, those seeming imperfections. And let's allow ourselves to begin to see them in a new light, in the silence. Yesterday, as I was cleaning and bleaching pounds of shells that I brought back with me from Florida, I was really wondering, overlooking at some of these shells were just such beautiful, perfect specimens. But the ones that I was drawn to again yesterday, just as I was sitting on the beach, was those that maybe had a part missing, had a hole in them, or the top was off. because it was in those seemingly imperfect shells that I saw a greater beauty inside. There was the perfect spiral of the shell. There were gorgeous colors. There were so many different ways to see these shells, where if I only had the seemingly more perfect specimens, it just wouldn't be the same. And so let us remember this day that out of those places within us that, or those experiences that we have had, that we may at one time looked at in a more negative way, that it is out of there that comes a beauty and a strength that is ours and ours alone to share with this world. So fully embrace who you are and your own unique magnificence. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Please join in singing Holy.
Creator of all, you are holy. I call you forth, you are holy. May my whole life become holy. May all that comes be seen as holy. All that I have comes from you, holy. Let me not want as I am holy. I will release for all unholy. I am set free, for I am holy. My life is yours, holy, holy.
So I have a couple of questions for you. What does it mean to be truly happy? What does it mean to showcase your magnificence? Now, over the course of my talk today, I'm going to share quite a bit with you about some times where I felt like I had lost my sense of magnificence. So I'm wondering, of all of you out there, if you could raise your hand if you've ever worried about anything. 1, 2, 3. Oh, just about everybody. Okay. Well, it's interesting. I find that I tend to worry a lot of times about perceptions, the perceptions of others. You know, what is someone going to think if I make the wrong comment? What is someone going to think if I don't get that invite to them for the gathering that we're going to have? Are they going to think less of me? We get really caught up in perceptions, and that can damage our self-worth, our feeling of being who we really want to be. It can damage self-confidence. So in many ways, we are our own worst enemies. Think about how many times you beat yourself up about something when others weren't really doing that in their place, but that you were doing it to yourself. You were being really, really hard on yourself. I mean, we are really hard on ourselves. Why is that? Aren't enemies supposed to be bad? Don't we think that we should be good? Why do we do that? So, Brandon introduced me. My name is Corey. I'm a son and a grandson. I'm a father and a husband. And I'm a friend. I am the executive director of the CAPS program in Blue Valley. And I have been on quite a roller coaster ride in my life. But I wanted to first start by sharing with you, and I'm going to share a few passages from the book Rising Strong. Rising Strong is written by a woman named Brené Brown. Some of you may be familiar with her work. She focuses on vulnerability and bravery. And she's a social worker by trade. She's given a TED Talk presentation that I think is one of the top 10 most watched TED Talks. Brené shares, I can give other people a break, but I'm really hard on myself. Self-trust was a big part of it for me. You know, life is a roller coaster ride. We have these amazing highs, and I think in my own life of some of the amazing highs that I've had, like the time that I got a letter of acceptance to be a White House intern when I was in college, or the time that we finally got our first business client when I started my business in St. Louis. We honestly weren't sure we were going to get any business, and I think some people that knew me, and certainly my parents, were probably wondering that as well, wondering when I was going to move back home. And of course, the time that my wife, Susan, at the time, wasn't even dating Susan, but when I asked her to dance with me and she said yes. These are moments that I will never forget. But there have also been many lows in my life, and there'll be more on that in a minute. But for you, I would ask you to do a little bit of self-reflection. What have the highs and the lows been in your life? Where are you today on your roller coaster ride? You know, there's a wonderful organization out of Wichita, Kansas called the Kansas Leadership Center. And the Kansas Leadership Center has a philosophy of leadership that says that leadership is an activity, not a position of authority, that anyone can lead from anywhere at any time. And within that, there's this beautifully metaphoric concept called getting up on the balcony. Getting up on the balcony means getting above the constant churn of the day-to-day. To move yourself away from the endless to-do list, all the surface level conversations, and seeing the bigger picture, getting above it and seeing it. You know, in Unity, we talk a lot about self-awareness. This is an activity based on self-awareness. How can you see how you're interacting and what it means? You know, I mentioned I'm at CAPS, and at CAPS, I'm the executive director, and I get this great pleasure of working with hundreds of high school students every single year with a really clearly defined purpose to help them find their path, find their way to passion and to purpose. That's not easy work. It's very rewarding work. But we're asking our students to do just that, to get on their own balcony, to really understand what the bigger picture looks like for them. Today, what I want to do is share with you my story and hope that it'll be helpful to you in some way. And it has various phases. Act 1, normalcy. So I had a very, I would say, normal childhood. Had unbelievable support from my parents, Cliff and Patty Mohn, who are here today. And they were both educators by trade, but very supportive of myself and my younger brother, very loving, and spent lots of time with us and taught us very well from an early age. And so we had a relatively normal upbringing, I would say. Now, there were some exceptions that bled a little chaos into our world, like the time I thought it was a really good idea in the backyard to grab a baseball bat and smack my brother square in the face with it. I don't know, Dad, if you remember that one. Dad, I don't think appreciated that one very much. There was also the various times that I would grab my scissors as a child and give the 70s style green shag carpet a haircut. Yep, but trust me though, if you had seen the carpet, if you saw it today, you'd be on my side on that one. Promise you, I promise you. It was not very stylish. So, but otherwise it was a normal, wonderful childhood. And you know, the thing I noticed though in kind of reflection was that back then, and I still have this today, I had very much an achievement mindset. So I was always going after the gold star in everything that I did. I wanted to get the best score on the test. And when that didn't happen, it could send me into a bit of a tailspin. If I didn't get to the top of my class in whatever course it was, or if the basketball coach decided I shouldn't play as much as maybe I thought I could, it really affected me. And of course, at the time, I didn't know any different. I didn't know what that was, other than I would get really disappointed in myself. I held myself to a very high standard. Well, fast forwarding through high school, which was great, and college, I had an amazing college experience. I was in St. Louis, and I started a business at the age of 24, working with small communities, small town mayors to help revitalize neighborhoods. It was very rewarding work, but it was the life of the entrepreneur, and I've noticed we've got some entrepreneurs in the crowd here today. No day is the same. You know, you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're trying to develop, and the phrase we used in the business was eat what you kill, right? You don't get a steady paycheck. You got to eat what you kill. And but it was very successful. We got 4.5 years through, and I was able to sell my share of the business to my business partner. And in the midst of all this, I met my wife, Susan, and we both have family in Kansas City. This is where we grew up, and so we decided to move back home. Everything from the outside looked amazing for me. I mean, what could possibly be wrong? What was interesting, though, is when we started to transition back to Kansas City, I started to realize what now I understand was a great sense of loss. Sure, I had sold my business, but now I was no longer going to be referred to as a business owner or an entrepreneur. I was losing that title and that part of me, that identity. I was leaving St. Louis, a place that for 10 years was my home, where I'd made so many memories in college and young adulthood. I'd bought a house, and while the house had many, many flaws, it was still my first home. And Susan, you know, my loving and beautiful fiance at the time, obviously tremendous to have met her, but let's be honest, I was sacrificing bachelorhood and the freedom that came with that too. I'm just saying. Then moving back to Kansas City, new home, new neighborhood, having to find new friends, new job market. What's my next opportunity? Who do I want to be when I grow up? All of this was circling under the surface, and it left me feeling a little uneasy. So a few months in, I took a job opportunity with a local real estate firm. Good salary, good location. Everything was looking good. It was going to be the same kind of technical work that I'd done in my business in St. Louis. But I got in for a few weeks and I started to feel strange, even physically strange about it. I was finding myself kind of in panic mode a lot. I would do this work and then I would have the feeling that I needed to get out of the building. And so I'd take walks. I'd use the restroom at certain times. Really, it was not taking walks so much as it was escaping. I was trying to escape. And I would talk to myself on these walks, you know, what's wrong with you? Get your act together. You should be happy. And this pattern emerged where I would look so forward to 5 o'clock because that meant I could leave, and I'd get in my car and drive home and feel good about the fact that the day was over, only to get home and find myself staring at the clock. Because if the clock got to a certain point and the day was over, that meant the next day was coming. And I felt trapped. And the pattern emerged where I would drag myself to work. I'd be tired because I wasn't wanting to go to bed. And then, you know, I'd be escaping during the day and then repeat. Well, after a few months of this, I was trying to wrap my head around it. What's going on? Trying to make it a rational decision. And I decided, well, I just must not be aligned to my purpose. There must be something about the work that isn't right. And I'd always admired that my mother and father had been in education and worked with young people, and they always loved what they did. And so I thought, well, boy, if I could get in a situation like that and teach in a class, and then I would really feel good about myself. And so I went out and looked for what my job opportunity might be. And I found an opportunity to teach middle school math here in the Kansas City area, and a position to come available in the middle of the year. And a very caring principal and a supportive staff had brought me, someone with no education degree, no certification to teach, in to help make an impact in the lives of young people. My life was going to turn around. This was going to be really, really good. I hear there's a little murmuring, like you don't actually believe that it's going to get better. You'd be right. So I stepped into the classroom, and the baton was handed to me, and it was my time to shine and to make an impact. And it wasn't long before the wheels came completely off. These were 7th graders, number one. Number two, we were in an, yep. You know them. You're familiar with the 7th graders, I see. That's great. They were 7th graders. This was an inner city population. So we had some at-risk kids that had some struggles in their own home life. The other minor detail is that I was the 3rd teacher of the year in this classroom. And the first teacher had tragically died in a car accident and was very well liked by the kids. They were feeling a sense of loss. Well, you probably have figured it out, but these kids, these wonderful kids, ate me alive. And I'm not going to share all the stories. I mean, I've buried some of them really deep, and it's too painful to think about all of them. But I will share a couple for you just to give you a sense of the chaos. So the first story, I was asked to work an example problem on the board for one of our students. And so I go to the dry erase board and I start working out the equation. And I get to the end and I spin around to see if there are any questions. And what do I see out of the corner of my eye? Fire! And I look closer, and the next thing I see is my student, and she's sitting there holding a lighter. Yep, she had set her homework on fire. It's even a funnier story how I reacted to that, but we don't have time to go into that. I was not prepared, let me just say that. Story 2, we're in the computer lab, we're doing enrichment work, and I'm walking around, just kind of keeping students on task, seeing if they have questions. And I work my way around, and I turn the corner, and I see one of my female students, and she's talking on the classroom telephone. Now, that's not normal for anyone who's not in education, for a student to just pick up the phone. So I walk over there, and I'm kind of hustling because I don't know what she's doing, and she sees me, and she hangs up the phone real quick, and she's not looking at me. And I said, "Excuse me, were you just on the phone?" "No." And she's no eye contact, right? I was like, "I saw you on the phone. Who are you talking to?" I wasn't on the phone. Well, I was clearly getting nowhere, and I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of said, "Okay, don't do that." So I start working my way back around, and about 5 minutes later, that same phone starts ringing. You can imagine, this does not normally happen either. I mean, these phones don't ring very often. So I go over there, and I pick up the phone. "Mr. Mohn, it's the front office. Is everything okay up there?" "Yeah, I guess. Why?" "Well, the fire department just showed up. They reported an emergency in your classroom." So anyway, long story short, I had complete control of this classroom. Complete control. Well, it just kind of kept getting worse. This cycle continued, and I was feeling physically like something wasn't quite right. And I was struggling. I was in a very tough environment, obviously. But the same pattern of kind of forcing myself to get up and go to work and trying to manage myself through the day, it just got to a point where it was too hard. And I didn't really know what to do, and I did something that I never thought I would do. I went to see a psychiatrist. And I was sitting there, again, not knowing what to expect, and she comes in and she asks me what's going on, to tell me a little bit about what's going on, and I have to tell you, I completely lost it. It was hard for me to even talk. I was crying. I was very upset. And it was hard for me to relate what was happening with me. So she saw clear signs of anxiety, and she suggested that I get on some medication and that I do some weekly counseling. And after a few days of kind of letting this all sink in, it became very clear to me that there was no way I could get back in that classroom, not in the state I was in. And so someone with an achievement mindset dragged himself into that principal's office and told that principal that he had to resign. And I remember feeling like my tail was between my legs driving home. All of my identity around work was gone. I had lost my sense of magnificence. Brené Brown tells us that she let fear trample over self-love. She says, I made every decision with the mindset, what will people think, rather than I am enough. So a few months later, after I've gotten on the medication, I've gone through some counseling, I'm actually kind of feeling like myself again. And in a story way too long to tell you today, I actually got drafted to run for the Kansas State Legislature, believe it or not. And in 3 months, did a full-on sprint to the election to represent my neighbors in Topeka. And in the midst of this absolutely chaotic thing to do, I was offered a job to go to work for the state of Kansas to help communities and businesses find resources that they needed. The catch was, it was contingent on me losing the election. So kind of a perverse incentive, don't you think? Well, we got to election night, and I was able to get more than 5,000 votes from my neighbors, for about 48% of the vote. So I had succeeded in building confidence, and at the same time, I had also lost, which meant I got the job. And I was starting to feel pretty good. And I got in this new work environment, and again, I'm getting some treatment, and I'm feeling really, really good, and I'm building myself back up. And over the course of the next 8 years, I felt so good. I was doing good. I was feeling better. About a year in, I weaned myself off the medication. I stopped the counseling. I had beaten this weakness of mine. It was gone. And at the end of this 8 years, I was managing a $13 million loan and equity fund for the state, for a nonprofit, and I was speaking at a lot of national conferences. I mean, life was really, really good. Now, the universe has a way of playing tricks on us sometimes, and they will present you with an open door in a time where things are really, really good, and give you a test to see where you should go. And so this was the case for me. I was in a work meeting, and a colleague of mine said, you know, I know you love what you do, but there's this opportunity that came up, and you would be so good at it, and you would absolutely love it. That opportunity was to be the executive director of CAPS, where I am now. And I was excited because just a month before, well, not a month before, about a year before, I had been thinking about what was the next step in my career, and I kept thinking, really what I want to do is run an organization that tries to position people correctly and help people through the lens of entrepreneurship. And this was it. So I got really excited, and I went through countless conversations and interviews, and eventually got offered the job and gladly accepted it. I mean, this felt right. And I got into CAPS, and CAPS is an amazing place, and I felt very loved by people that I didn't know, but felt like this was going to be a good fit. And a few months in, even less than that, I started to struggle again. Some of these feelings started coming back to me. You see, I didn't understand the culture of K through 12 education. I'd been in business. It was a completely different culture. The language was completely different. I couldn't even understand what people were saying. They were using acronyms, lots of acronyms in education. I didn't know any of the people. So I had to build connections with people, and that was taking a long time because there were a lot of stakeholders. And all the while, I'm supposed to lead this organization. How am I supposed to lead? I can't understand what people are saying. I don't know the people. So it was very frustrating. And I caught myself getting these moments of real anxiety and panic, and there have been multiple occasions as I got started where I would have to get out of my office, and so I'd run and dart to the back to the stairwell just to get away from people for a few minutes. There were a few times that I went out to my car. I told the front desk I had to go get something out of my car, and I'd just go and sit in my car so I could breathe. It got to a point where I felt like I was endangering this opportunity, and my wife intervened skillfully and told me, you know, you really should go see our family doctor. And so I did. And this is a different person than the psychiatrist, but I went in, and I'm sitting in the exam room not knowing what to expect and not feeling horrible about it, but I sit there, and she walks in, and she says, so what's wrong today? And there was something about the way she said that and all these feelings that I had that, I mean, it was even worse than the first time. I couldn't speak. I was crying. I was just beside myself. And later that day, when I walked to my car and I drove to the pharmacy, and I'm sitting in the pharmacy with my script, I felt shame. I mean, hadn't I just beaten this weakness of mine? And here I am, right back here. It felt like someone had taken a giant eraser and just wiped away the last 8 years of my life. I didn't know what to do. I had hit rock bottom and had completely lost my sense of magnificence. So as a Methodist by upbringing, a sermon just isn't a sermon without the tangy zip of a Jesus Christ quote. Some of you use fake mayonnaise, I can tell. Okay. So in Matthew 5, chapter 13, you are the salt of the earth. But if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It's no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. You see, I had lost my saltiness, completely lost it. Act 3, resurrection. I'm not sure I gave you the title of Act 2. Act 2 was crash. I think you probably figured that out. That was the crash. So where does this leave me today? Well, I've got to tell you, CAPS is absolutely awesome. I love CAPS. I love the students at CAPS. I love the teachers at CAPS. I love the volunteers at CAPS. Pancho is a volunteer at CAPS. I mean, how can you not love CAPS? I get to work with students. I get to help them find what's passionate for them. I get to bring resources to them. The whole thing is just amazing. But how did I get to that point from where I was? Well, first, I sought help when I needed it. And whether you're battling anxiety or you have some other thing that you see as a weakness, seek help. Talk to people. Be your true self. You'll be amazed at what it will open up for you. But the other thing was I realized that I was telling my students one thing and I was doing something else. You see, we talk to our students about being your true self, by playing to your strengths, by being very genuine. And this whole time, I wasn't owning everything that I was. I wasn't owning it. I mean, I felt very ashamed. But I got to tell you, this whole episode, this wasn't weakness. Okay? My anxiety is not a weakness, it's a strength. And today, for the first time publicly, I'm sharing that I have anxiety disorder. And I'm sharing it because I want to own that I have anxiety disorder so that it doesn't own me. So I'm owning it today. Our last visit with Brené Brown, she says, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we'll ever do. Reflect on that for a minute. Owning yourself, loving your story, is the greatest thing you'll ever do. So what would I like you to take away from today? Well, first, if you have anxiety or something like it, know you're not alone. If you have anxiety disorder, you're not alone. I heard from so many people after 9 o'clock who came up and visited with me. Okay, you're not alone. If you know someone who has an anxiety disorder, be there for them. Don't try to troubleshoot. That can make it worse. Just be who you are and be supportive of them and know and have trust that they're going to get through it. And there might be some sacrifices you make along the way, but just be there for them. It's so important. We all need help. Whether it's anxiety or anything else, we all need help. So seek help. You know, I have a lot of friends in the crowd today, and I'm so blessed that they think enough of our family to be here. You know, for my friends, I would tell you, and this is no surprise to you, that I can get a little carried away sometimes. I'm kind of high energy. I like to laugh. I like to hug. Well, I want to tell you just a small part of why. Now, I think that that's part of my personality, but kind of deeper than that, there have been these moments in my life where I was in the valley of my darkness, and it didn't feel good. And now that I feel better, I want to bask in the sunlight. And thank you for being there to help bask with me. So I think the moral of the story is do not try to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. Be the perfect reflection of you. If we're all made in the image of God, then the best that we can be is us. The best that we can be is us. You all are the light of the world. Never, ever stop showcasing your magnificence. May God bless all that you are. Thank you.
You think you knew me before? Well, you best think again. Got some surprises in store, coming right at you, my friend. 'Cause today I woke up thinking clear as a bell. Yes, today I finally woke up and I've got a story to tell. Well, welcome to a different me. Welcome to a different me. The world had better watch out. I'm gonna be coming on strong. I'm gonna be laughing out loud. I'm gonna be singing it all. 'Cause life is too short to keep my joy to myself. Yes, this life is way too short, and I've never felt so well. Welcome to a different me. Welcome to a different me. Open my eyes for the very first time to see what I can see. I'm stepping outside these lifelong lines. Today I am finally free. Welcome to a different me. Welcome to a different me. Welcome to a different me. Welcome to a different me.